Bench Mob gang, y'all back for another episode. We appreciate y'all hopping in, tuning in, whether you watching this, whether you listening to this. We appreciate you. This episode, you got the big three, me, Greg, Miles. Y'all know y'all love that combo. We talk everything from NFL draft. We give out our hot takes. We talk about the NBA playoffs, and we talk about all the matchups, who we predict to win, the series, the X factors. We break it down in deep detail. We also touch on Caitlin Clark, her impact on joining the W, her impact of having a sneaker deal, and players like Asia Wilson not having a sneaker deal yet. We talk about all of that on this episode. And you already know, Bench Mob, we trying to be here for a good time and a long time. So to help aid in that, hit that subscribe button, share. If you listening to this, rate us, leave a review so we could teach the algorithm and let the algorithm learn. This is some great content. Hey, that's a great episode. Listen, tune in, enjoy it. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent podcast. As you already heard in the intro, you know what's on the docket for today. But we have the big three on with us right now. Before I even start, make sure that y'all subscribe, share, comment. Make sure you tell any and everybody about it. Make sure you rate us 5 stars. Leave a review on all streaming platforms. We trying to be here for a good time and a long time. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing well, bro. I'm doing well. I'm ready to get into it. Second time in a week.
Yeah, we doing overtime over here, putting in work. If y'all haven't already, make sure that you go check out. We hopped on Show About Sports, collabed over there with Griffin Prop on his podcast. If y'all haven't already, check it out. More clips will be dropping this week from that episode. We're going to start off with turning up the heat segment, hot takes on the NFL draft coming up. I'll start with one, and y'all let me know what y'all think, and then y'all can take it from there, because I got a list. I got a couple of them, but I'll start off with just one, and then we take it from there. I think my first hot take regarding the NFL draft coming up, I believe that the Baltimore Ravens will trade up to get one of the premier wide receivers to give another weapon for Lamar to pair with Zay Flowers, Andrews, and likely Jr.
That's not far fetched, and it is a hot take because no one would see it coming. But it's not because I heard Joe Shane said today that teams are calling them like crazy to trade up to the 6th spot because there's so many good wide receivers. So the team like the Ravens definitely could do that in this draft class. Can definitely prioritize wide receiver and get one of those top tier guys. I don't know where they are, probably in the late 20s or mid 20s, but to trade from there to up to 6 would cost a king's ransom. I just don't think that that's where it's going to end up being. But you can get it up to the teens and get a guy like A.D. Mitchell or something like that, or Worthy, one of those guys from Texas, and the other really good wide receivers in this class. You can get up and get one of those like second tier guys. So I think it's definitely possible. Yeah,
I think they might try to get because I don't know if they get that high, but like a Brian Thomas Jr. They might. I know you think he's gonna go a little bit higher, but hey, if they could get up in the top 10, 11, they might be able to.
It's gonna take off. I mean, that's gonna be, and they have the leeway to do that because their team's so set. They're in such a good place. They're gonna compete for championships.
It might not be wide receiver. They might go Brock Bowers, maybe just another tight end, another option right there. Likely is like what 6'4", 6'5", pretty athletic. Maybe put him in the slot, mix it up. Browers, whatever you might want to do, or you might take a Jatavian Sanders from Texas. You might want to go with that route. Maybe they go tight end because they might not be, like you said, they might not be able to move up that high to get one of those premier wide receivers. But I don't think Zay Flowers is enough for Lamar.
I totally agree. With you. I think that it's definitely a possibility for the Ravens, and because their team is so good already, you don't have to prioritize draft picks and prioritize future team building in that way. You can be aggressive and make a move like that when you're that good. So if there's ever a time to do it, it'd be now. And Lord knows Lamar would would need it. I don't think Odell Beckham answered the questions last year that they had a wide receiver, right? There's still very much a lot of the same issues. And you'd like to see him with the top tier guy. Pair someone with Zay Flowers, give him a real chance. Even though I don't, by the way, I don't want to say that as if he didn't do his part last year. I think it was also Lamar just, crap in the bed. So I don't want to make it sound like it's Lamar is because he had a lack of resources, and that's what made it what it was last year in the playoffs. And that performance was really rooted in what he didn't have. It was really about what he didn't have from a skill set perspective. And they're at 30. The Ravens are at 30. So you're not getting from 30 to 6. You're gonna have to trade us the stadium too to get the 6. So I don't see that's gonna happen. But you can get up they'll still be pretty aggressive. You get into mid-20s. That's a reasonable haul to give up, and you'll still get a pretty good wide receiver there. So hopefully they do that. I'm sure Lamar's hoping for they do it. On my end, for a hot take, I said this in the podcast before. Maybe I've hinted at it. I never maybe declared it, but I think the Patriots are going to go JJ McCarthy and surprise everybody and over Drake May. I don't think Drake May goes top 3. I think he falls out. I was hinting at it in the last podcast, and I didn't say it directly because I just didn't know who between Drake May and Jaden Daniels would fall. I just don't think Jaden Daniels is going to fall top 3 because of his ability to run the ball. I think he's going to stay top 3. Now, if he falls, I guess it wouldn't shock me either. But I'm going to say Drake May is the one who falls, and I know I'm trying to manifest it and speak it into existence. There's certainly a part of that that's real. I'll give you that. But I do think he's the one that's going to fall with all the noise about his footwork. And and we listen to all the film guys, that talk about football consistently. Talk about Drake May. They talk about his misses on film and how he misses easy throws. And there's some truth to that. Like his footwork isn't the cleanest. He doesn't hit all the passes and the easy ones that he should hit. And so I can understand why there'd be some Drake May detractors out there. And so I think he's very Josh Allen-ish, which we've talked about in this podcast before. And I think he's going to fall. So I think JJ McCarthy goes top 3, which I would say is a hot take because no one saw that coming. I would say that. So definitely one that I had in mind.
Well, I'm like looking at the draft order right now, and I'm thinking the Giants could possibly, because I'm sure that you don't want to just take the 4th best quarterback on your board just to take him, just because it's a need. So I could see the Giants possibly trading back with the Vikings, taking some of those picks. You get those first rounders. You build more depth along that, defensive front or the defensive backfield, and get another receiver. You can get one at 11, and this draft is deep enough at corner too. You can get like the kid Nate, name is escaping me, from Clemson. Really good. He's going to be really good. I like him for the Eagles, but I think the Giants could do that. Or my other one would be the Rams as a potential landing spot for Penix, just because I think Matthew Stafford, he's been banged up over the last few years, and they haven't made it so obvious. This team is good, but it might be time to start building for that next phase. Like McVay can make anybody look good in that system. And I think Penix is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this draft class. He'll sit behind Stafford, get to learn from him, and be able to step right back in. And hopefully he'll still have Cooper Kupp, but you got Puka, and you can build around those guys. So I think Rams are a sleeper for a quarterback, even though it's not a need right now. And Stafford is still pretty good, but any little hit, he could be done for his career. So proactive thinking is on their side.
Y'all didn't hear this, but this is just an inside thing. That's another clip right there. That was around 38 seconds. This is just absolute beautiful content right here. Like, nobody's rambling. We getting straight to it. Another one that I have. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. I'm going to throw this one out there, and I don't think it's a hot take. Before I say the next one I have, I don't think any running backs will be drafted into the 3rd or the 4th round this year. I don't see that. This is not that deep of a running back class, and y'all know how the NFL feels about running backs.
Yeah.
First one probably off the board is Jonathan Brooks for Texas. Probably the first one off the board, but that's not coming till the 3rd, 4th round, I believe. Miami, they draft, I mentioned them earlier, they draft Jatavian Sanders with their first round pick
Oof.
or second. They draft Jatavian Sanders to help give some value, give another target for Tua, which we know he needs as many weapons as possible.
Uh-huh.
He's a complement to Tyreek and Waddle. They did add Jonnu Smith, but Jonnu Smith at tight end, his career high he's had is 50 catches, 800-yard season, and one season in 2020 he had 8 touchdowns. So this is not the most prolific talent at tight end. This is not a top tier. We're not even talking about a David Njoku. This is not on that level. So I don't know how much of an impact he would have. And we know Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, those are the main guys. Another weapon where you could possibly get Tyreek open now, possibly Waddle. You can't double any of them. I think they go Jatavian Sanders.
So real quick, I'm looking at the second round, and I mean, I feel like I'm getting like deja vu with like the Eagles, and it wasn't a need when they took Jalen Hurts, but they did, and it ended up working out in their favor. I mean, the Cowboys are at 56 in the second round. You talk about Spencer Rattler rising in the
I saw that
draft.
coming.
I could see them, possibly thinking ahead, and you know, maybe they re-sign Dak to a short-term deal. But I think, you know, if you develop a kid like that, Spencer Rattler has talent. He could step right in and have similar success as what Jalen Hurts did. So I don't. They got decisions to make coming up, and I don't know if they feel comfortable paying Dak 60 million a year for a guy who's uh, Paul George in the playoffs.
That's a great comparison. Speaking of the Cowboys, before I don't know if y'all have any more takes, but speaking of the Cowboys, it's been in the news over the last couple of weeks. CeeDee Lamb, he's going to probably hold out. You see the reports that suddenly Michael Parsons is a problem in the locker room, and they're kind of hesitant of trying to pay him. Do you see both coming back? Do you see either of them getting an actual deal done between CD, between Bo Nix? I said Bo Nix, between CD, Michael Parsons, and Dak.
Yeah.
Do any of them actually get a deal done before the season starts?
I think Parsons is the priority. I mean, he's has to be like that's a defensive player of the year right there in the future. I could see that. I mean, CD, of course, they should have wrapped this up like a year ago, but of course they waited. The market's gone up. I'm sure he saw Devontae Smith get 25 mil a year, and CD's miles better than him. So I mean, Justin Jefferson's still waiting on a deal. I'm wondering if he's waiting to see what he gets and if the Vikings even pay him this season. But I think Parsons, CD, Dak in that order. I think they could make it work with a different quarterback. Sure, Dak and CD got chemistry, but I mean, tough decisions have to be made. I mean, Jerry Jones has to make these tough decisions. I mean, he made that tough decision with Romo, and he got hurt. Dak stepped in. They never look back. They might have to make that same move coming up with Dak and thinking about his replacement. So, um,
I have a hard time seeing them walk away from Dak Prescott. I have a hard time. I just think it's too hard to find quarterbacks that play at a high level. So I've been thinking that this whole thing's a pump fake from the beginning. I think they're probably going to pay him middle of the season because I mean, last year he played at an all-pro level. He had MVP consideration. I know he didn't play well in the playoffs, and they got the doors blown off. I understand that, but I mean, Dak wasn't the reason why they gave up 45 or however many points they gave up. Like, it wasn't his fault that happened. He didn't play well enough. I am not the biggest Dak fan. I can't believe I'm defending him, but I think that is a little overblown, this idea that like Dak Prescott's the reason or the bane of the Cowboys' existence. No, you guys are just the Cowboys, and you guys find ways to lose football games. All of you guys are complicit from the top down. Losing just permeates throughout that organization, right, when it matters the most. And so I just have a hard time, with the idea that they're not going to pay that guy and that he won't be there. I don't. This is not Kirk Cousins. This is a high. Wait, we're talking about a quarterback who's playing at a higher level than even Cousins has ever played, right? And Kirk Cousins' best season may have been this past season before he tore his Achilles. So I think Dak was playing at a higher level than even that. So I just have a hard time with the idea that they're not going to bring Dak back. I think it's nonsense. I think of those three guys, Parsons, him, and Lamb, I think that Dak will be made a priority because you kind of have no choice. You're not going to be bad enough to get a top tier quarterback in the next year class or the next class after that. You just won't be bad enough to do that. So you'll have to bring him back. And so I think you'll bring him back, and you'll bring whoever is more reasonably priced between Parsons and Lamb. I'm going to say that Lamb has the higher chance of being brought back because it starts to worry me when you hear noise about Parsons' character in that building when you have a contract dispute. I know they can be doing that to play dirty and just bring his number down a bit. But I personally think that some of that smoke is real. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And so I just think that you're probably looking at a situation where Parsons is more likely to be moved, which is insane because he's great. He's an all-time level great defender already. He's more likely to be moved than a guy like Dak or Lamb. I just feel like that's how it'll play out. It's just hard. It's too hard to move off quarterbacks in this. As you can see, like we're talking about this great quarterback class, and literally two of them might hit. Two of them might hit. Three tops. Two or three. So you don't even know. You have to get it right. And that's why you can't just pick a quarterback for the sake of picking one. You have to really pick one you believe in, and you believe they have the traits to be good. So I just think that with that being said, I think Dak's the priority for them. He has to be. They have no choice. They're stuck with him. It's like that marriage.
Hey, that's your hot takes for the NFL draft coming up. You already know we probably gonna do a live IG episode when it's happening. At least for the first round, we're not doing all 7 rounds. That's not. I don't care how big we get. That's never something that we're gonna do. I never. That's just never we gonna do. But NBA playoffs are here for the most part. It's another play-in game that's happening Friday, and starting off with the playoff play-in game before we even talk about the selections. Who y'all got winning? Kings, Pelicans, no Zion.
Oh, Kings.
Kings.
I mean,
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram, I think, is still on a minutes restriction, and I'm not relying on CJ to carry the load for this team. So I think even though they're missing Malik Monk and Kevin Herter, I think De'Aaron Fox is going to have a good game. Sabonis, they'll get it done.
Hey, sidebar, because the Kings had to beat the Warriors to get into this position to be in the playoffs. What should Mike Dunleavy, Steve Kerr, and Golden State do going forward?
Clay walks, Draymond trade. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to move forward with Draymond on this team. If I'm being the antagonist in this whole Warriors dynasty, I mean, he's been volatile for the last couple years, and I mean, luckily they won that chip a couple years ago. Otherwise, he might have been gone a lot sooner. So
it's really hard to build the championship level team around Steph Curry at this point in Steph Curry's career, in my opinion, because the older he gets, you're not looking at a guy who's in an age like LeBron James. It's not like that. We're reaching the twilight of his career, and I'm not saying the play has declined yet, but that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. And so I just have a hard time with where they are because they can't rebuild. You can't do that. Not with Steph Curry on your roster. He wants to win. And you also can't, it's hard to retool and just get another all-star player, level player in the building. The Warriors have been trying to do that for years. Don't believe what they tell you. They've been trying to do that forever. They tried to get Brad Beal. They tried to get any good player you could think of that was on the market. They tried to get him, and unsuccessfully at that. And so I just don't know what assets you have. Kaminga, as promising as he looks at times, he's not going to move the needle enough to get you, a great player in return. And if Giannis decides, hey, I'm unhappy and I want to get out of here, there are multiple teams, literally 2 of them in New York alone, and one that really stands out being the Knicks, that could go make a push for him in a real way. And so I just don't see how the Warriors get another star player in there with him. The best chance they had, I feel like, in my opinion, of a star player coming there was LeBron going there because he was fed up with the Lakers. And that's just not realistically going to happen. I just don't see it either. Because the Lakers are going to make a move this summer, one way or another. Whether they win or lose, they'll make a move. That's just who the Lakers are. It's in their DNA. So they try to go get stars. And so I just don't see where you can go get better as a team, right? In a sustainable way with Steph Curry on the roster at this point, at this age in his career, and where he is in his career, and at this, at this stage, I just don't see it. So they're in a really tough spot. I think Klay Thompson, you probably let him walk. If Orlando offers him a bag, let him go. The second Klay Thompson went on Draymond's podcast and said, "I gotta put my mental health first." I was like, "Oh, okay. You don't want to come. You don't want to be back. You're done. You're over it. You are basically telling me right now that your horrifically bad play in the beginning of the season was all rooted in stress that you were dealing with within the organization. You had problems with people in that building, so you're not coming back. You decided back in November that you weren't coming back to Golden State. You knew you weren't. When they didn't give you the extension you wanted, you were done. So we all know that he's gone. Draymond, at that point, do you keep that guy at $100 million, $25 million a year? Probably not. It's probably not a great investment. He's aging. His production doesn't really line up with that pay. I think he made a lot of sense when you had him in that system, that two shooter system with him and Clay. If you're going to send Clay's going to walk away, then you don't want to bring him back, like Miles is saying. I'm really just reiterating what Miles said. You're not going to bring that guy back, right? So the question is, where do they go from there to keep Steph Curry happy and to keep him in a Golden State uniform for the rest of his career? That's a hard question to answer because I don't see a clear path forward for them to get better. And I don't see how they acquire a superstar level player. If Donovan Mitchell hits the market, there are multiple teams that are in a better position to get him than the Warriors are. You're just not going to get a guy to walk in there and save the day, and salvage this thing and continue the dynasty. Sometimes when these dynasties fall apart, it falls apart ugly. That's just the way it works. And again, I'll say this again because we were talking about it before the show. LeBron outlasted the dynasty that was created to beat him. LeBron outlasted the dynasty that was created to beat him, which is crazy. LeBron's playing at a high level still, and those guys crumbled and fell apart. I just find it to be amazing. But if you look back at the Warriors, I mean, I think they probably have the third greatest dynasty of all time. Bulls at one, Showtime Lakers at two, them at three, probably, I'd say. So still an accomplishment. You all got to be a part of it. Nothing wrong with it. Can't win every year. Can't win it. You can't every year the Warriors don't win a championship. It's not, and I saw Brian Windhorst say this. The world isn't falling apart. It's okay that you don't win. I see Steph Curry saying something like, "Oh yeah, well, I just want to win." When they asked him if they want to, if he wants the Warriors to bring back his boys, his compadres, in Clay and Draymond, he's like, "I just want to win." All right, Steph, we all want to win. We don't always win, so you're gonna have to ride this one out here. Yeah, and you want to ride off into the sunset of playing for one team, and that's you want your legacy to be that. That's fine. Just understand it's gonna be some dark days ahead, and you have to power through it. Kobe's at the end of his career, his run with the Lakers. Think that.
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be that bad. I feel like it could be like Reggie Miller at the end of the Pacers days, where you have to bring in like some younger talent, like a Ron Artest or Jermaine O'Neal and
Jalen Rose.
Jalen Rose, and then you kind of fall back into like a role player, veteran sort of bag on that team. Because I think they still got pieces like Kaminga can be really good. He showed in stretches that he can be a pretty good player in this league. They got TJD, who, I mean, that was a sleeper pick from Indiana. I thought he's going to be a pretty solid piece, and he could be like the Draymond replacement. Now you got to figure out the rest of the roster. Like, is Moody a part of the future? Um,
Probably not.
what do you do? Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's kind of redundant with Kaminga, but like drafting and making smart trades or signings. Like you got Marvin Bagley out there. You've got like guys who flop somewhere else and maybe you can develop them into something else, something talented. So I don't think that they're gonna end up being as bad as the Lakers were when, Kobe was doing his farewell tour and all that. But
Yeah, I'm being a bit
I think it'll
dramatic. You
be.
know what I do.
I think the only thing that makes it going to be different though is because Kobe had their hands tied behind their back with that contract. That contract was nasty work. You couldn't get nobody in there, even if you wanted to. And I don't blame him. It was the end of the career. He saw my body's wearing down. Y'all could have brought in Braun when Kobe was still there at the end, and it wouldn't turned out to be a championship because he knew. So he took the bag. That's what he decided to do. I think Steph better get comfortable and just take the bag. I don't see it happening. Not in the. I can see what Miles is saying, that they could bring some young talent in. He could be like Reggie, probably make a nice little run, play some, still be in the playoffs, have some meaningful basketball played. But how the West is shaping up, OKC for the next 5-10 years, they're gonna be around. Minnesota, they're gonna be around. Joker and Denver, they gonna be around. We still got Luka and Kyrie for the next 5. They gonna be around. So I think Steph, and I even say this for my Lakers, we'll see what happens in the offseason because they have better chances, I think, than Golden State. But LeBron and Steph might have to get real comfortable that in June for the next 3 to 5 years, they can have vacations booked months in advance.
Yeah, I mean, unless they team up, and unless Lakers make some kind of magical run this year, or they go get Trae Young and it magically works out and it clicks for them. I like, but the Lakers are in a better place from a franchise outlook perspective.
Oh yeah,
If you're
for
talking about
sure.
winning championships, than the Warriors are. It's not even close. And again, when you win as much as the Warriors have over the past few years, it's hard to sustain that long term. It shouldn't be the expectation. This had to end at some point, and the chances were it wasn't going to end pretty.
It's happened to every dynasty. If we think about it, what championship team, what team that's won that long keeps it going? Look at what happened with the Spurs.
Yeah,
Like that's just common sense. The Spurs had to suck at some point to be able to get Victor Wembanyama. It didn't just, as great as Popovich was, he was trying to coach, as we saw this season, some of the worst basketball players that have faced the planet of Earth in the NBA. He didn't have Tim Duncan anymore. He didn't have Manu. He didn't have Tony Parker. He didn't have Gary Neal. He didn't have the Red Bonner. He didn't have Antonio Daniels. He didn't have that roster anymore.
Yep.
And now they got Victor Wembanyama, and now they're going to try to build back up to be in that conversation for having 50-win season and all that. It happens to the best of them. That's life. It's hard to have sustained success year after year after year after year after year. That's why they say marriage is one of the hardest things, man. You can make your woman happy every single year. She chose you to stay with you. 50 years of marriage. That's difficult. That's hard. Back every year I chose to be with you. Every year I chose this. And that's life. That's real life. That's not no sports stuff. So imagine how much harder it is with sports, where you have 12 to 15 people that got to be on the same page, that got to put egos aside, that got to decide, I'm not here to try to get my bag, that you don't have one teammate that could have been a vital piece to your team and they could have made the playoffs if they had a Kevin Porter Jr., but he wanted to go beat on women. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of intangibles that you can't control in that sports world.
Nope.
So that's what that is.
It's the one thing they can't do. The rule number one for them is going into this offseason: you cannot overpay Klay Thompson. Don't do that.
I think Dunleavy, he was dealt a bad hand. Like Bob Myers knew what the hell he was doing, getting up out of there.
Yup.
You saw him on NBA. You saw him on the on the show.
Yeah, like Dunleavy, I think he's smart enough to realize like we're not gonna pay Clay. Like we might offer him like a short term low ball deal that of course he's not gonna take because he's gonna try to maximize what he has left. But I think he's got moves to make in the offseason. And Clay's not a part of this team really anymore. He showed it with the offer in the final game that I'm not paying a guy 25-30 million dollars to put up a goose egg in the biggest moment. So
Yep.
I mean, Clay's not the player he used to be.
Yep.
What else? I mean, let's see what happens with Draymond too. I don't think he would request out. I think he's comfortable playing with Steph Curry for the rest of his career. Um, but is that the is that what Curry wants? Curry might want something different. I think you saw how emotional he was when Draymond got tossed in that one game, like 5 minutes in. Not even 5 minutes in, like 1 minute into the game, and like Curry's in tears almost. I mean, maybe it was tears, maybe it was dust. I don't know, but um, we'll see.
Yep.
I mean, I'm rambling right now, but I'm looking at the draft order because we were talking about the Spurs and all that, and currently they're in like I know it's the lottery, but they're in the fifth spot, and I'm just thinking of pieces to add to that team. Maybe like a Reed Shepherd
I
because
knew
you
you were gonna
saw
say that.
I saw he left. I mean, that was expected. I mean, I didn't expect him to even consider coming back or even transferring somewhere else. Like you're you had a historic year for yourself. Like he wasn't even on the radar for the NBA coming in to
Nope.
be a one and done, and now he's a one and done. I like that's. I feel like that's a pop pick right there. Like he plays smart basketball. He would be perfect to complement Wembenyama. Um,
I
because
agree.
I think the Spurs could really flip this by next year if they bring in the right players, draft the right way. So
Yeah, they need to prioritize intelligence on their side. That's what they need to
oh yeah.
prioritize because you need people smart to throw that guy the ball and be and good enough to make open shots. Throw him down with the ball and be able to throw a good entry pass and be able to knock down an open shot. That's the big thing and the two big priorities for anybody going to play for them. And so right now they don't have nearly enough of that. They have too many guys that are me guys on the team that's awful. And Wembanyama is just a nice enough person, whereas it's just flying right now, but it won't fly
Hmm.
long. Coach alone, they should add about five or six wins, maybe more,
You a fan
maybe
of the new
seven.
coach?
I am. Yeah, I've watched enough stuff. I've watched him lead the huddles enough and seen like the stuff they've put out there about him for me to really be a fan of that coach that they brought in. I love it, the lineage, like learning from Mike Malone, learning from being with LeBron in player development, being with Kyrie in player development with the Cavs in those championship years, being with the Kings and Mike Brown and the offense they run. Just learning that, but he was also he ran their defense, which their defense has struggled, but it was good with the Nuggets. So I just like what I see. I like the leadership, the videos of him leading teams. He coached in Canada, so he's been there. He's coached in the G League. He really has bled his way to this point. He's earned it. He's earned it. He's earned the opportunity. And from what I understand, with Mike Budenholzer and why he didn't get the job, and I thought he was going to get it, but I think everyone did. It was that he was pretty difficult to get along with, and that's part of the reason why it didn't work out in Milwaukee and why they chose to move on. And it's just so happened to coincide with his brother. I think his brother died or something crazy happened. The family emergency happened. Something crazy happened there. Everyone assumed that they were just doing him dirty because we don't know. All we heard was that something horrible happened, and he got let go right around that time. But it's because apparently he'd rubbed some people in the organization the wrong way with the way he acts. And I heard the Nets, when doing digging on him, found out about it. So the Nets didn't want to move forward, and Jordy Fernandez was the guy. And by the way, in a GM poll before the season started with On the Athletic, he was rated the number one assistant coach in basketball, Jordy Fernandez. So I have no problem with the hire, and I hope it works out for Sean Mark's sake because I do think this is his last chance to hire a coach. So this needs to work. But I think no hit with him knowing that he probably made a good decision. From everything I read, it looks like a good choice.
Hey, I apologize for those y'all watching this, y'all listening. Wait, how did they get on the Nets? There's a little technical difficulties. We picked it back up. We was talking about the Nets, so that's how it worked. Bulls Heat, no Jimmy, no playoff Jimmy for this game. Kobe White goes for 42. DeMar DeRozan does his thing, and we called it last week. Kobe White, most improved player of the year. I think they said
Yeah,
something like it's only him and Jordan to ever have in a playoff game, closeout game, or something like that. 40 plus points, some crazy stat. Kobe White is in the conversation with MJ. Just throwing it out there. Who y'all see winning winning this game. By the
I
way,
could,
Kelly Oubre, that was not a basketball play. By the way,
that
that
was
was not a
crazy.
basketball play.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I if I'm being honest, I think the Bulls have been playing some solid basketball to end the year. Um, they're getting good production out of Drummond off the bench. Demar's, we were talking about how he'll probably win the most clutch award um, this year, and then of course they get an uptick in production out of Kobe White. Like this is a guy who was um, a year away from being a microwave Lou Williams type of scorer, and that's how teams viewed him, I think. And now he's a solid piece that you can start and build around. Because I don't think that this is showing that they don't really need Zach LaVine. They're just gonna have trouble getting off that contract. Um, but I do think losing Jimmy is a big blow. And I mean, Tyler Hero didn't have a great game in the first one. He's gonna have to step up. Same with Bam. So I'm taking the Bulls. I'm gonna take the Bulls in the upset in Miami, which I love that. All those Miami fans who talking trash about us last year, like they were like, "Oh, this is gonna be an easy cakewalk in the first round," talking about us, and they might not even make the playoffs. So
Yeah. The Jimmy injury puts them in serious doubt of making it to the playoffs. I mean, Jimmy's the heart and soul of that basketball team. So it's also rare that the best player on your team is the heart and soul of your team, and he is because Jimmy creates his own offense. He goes to get rebounds. He creates opportunities for himself to score by getting offensive rebounds, by diving on the floor for loose basketballs. He plays an ugly. He does the ugly work, right, that other superstars don't do. So when you lose that guy and you're relying on Tyler Hero, who is a gifted offensive player and had a bad game last game, I don't think he'll play that bad again. But when you're relying on that, it's tough. It's tough. So if I had to, put money on it, you know, um, I would say that the Bulls have the better chance of winning the basketball game. The Bulls are more a complete team right now. I don't know that Caruso's probably not going to play, which is a big loss for them. But um, I just think that they're still going to pull out the game with DeMar and Kobe and Drummond coming in playing good minutes, like you mentioned already, as well. Vucevic. They just have a lot of ways they can overwhelm Miami right now without their best player and that heartbeat of the team. So I think the Bulls do move on, but I'll say this is bad for basketball because a healthy Miami team versus either the Knicks or Boston would have been more fun for us to watch. And it sucks that we're not going to get a chance to see that because they make no mistake about it. The Celtics will beat the living breaks off of the Bulls in round one, sweep most likely.
Perfect transition as usual. In the notes, Celtics Bulls. I got it going because it's the Celtics and the amount of threes they shoot, and they don't always be locked in. I say it goes Boston 4-2.
Oof, you give them 2 games. Oh,
I was gonna say a clean sweep, but
2 games. Hey, I get why Tone's doing that though, because the Celtics take a ton of threes, and Jason Tatum's inconsistent. But I do think that this is not the series where he really has his struggles. It's gonna get tight. It's gonna get tight for him. Think round two. Think about when they play against the Knicks in a potential matchup. That's when things are gonna get a little weird because you got to go with OG and Anunoby. They'll throw him at you. They'll throw hard at you. They'll throw different bodies at you in that series. Um, and really, it's OG you got to worry about. It's OG. But I think that's when you're gonna start to see the chinks in the armor. Damn it, you're gonna start to see the dents in the armor.
Hey,
And
2 might be max. 4-1. I don't think they sweep them. I just don't.
that's
It's
fair.
going to be one game. It's going to be at least one game where they go 10 for 55 from 3. It's going to be one game
Yeah,
where
that's
that
fair.
happens, and it's not going to be because the Bulls aren't on their level, but it'll be a game where they go 10 for 54. Next thing you know, it's a close game, and DeMar DeRozan and Kobe White close it out in Chicago.
Yeah.
I can see that happen in one game for sure. You mentioned it, Knicks, 76ers. Now, Paul Reed has already came out and said that, hey, this is the team we want to see. This was the easier matchup. Now, part of that is true because if they saw Celtics,
Yeah,
that would be harder for them. So he's
that's
not
true.
wrong in that regard. But you never want to give playoff bulletin board material. Never in the playoffs. I see the series going 4-2. The Knicks,
Hmm.
people, yes, he did a good job facilitating, but Joel Embiid still struggled. He still struggled. And I don't think his playoff woes are going to stop against this defensive team and what Tibbs got set up for the 76ers. I think he struggles again. I think Tyrese Maxey has a pretty good playoff series. This is not a hot take. Safe to say I could go out on a limb on this. I think Jalen Brunson leads both teams points and assists this series.
Yeah,
4-2 Knicks.
totally agree. Totally agree. I don't think I said. I mean, if they played Miami, it would have worried me. But if they're playing Philly with Embiid's shaky track record in the playoffs and his in how he just disappears in the biggest moments, just historically. And then you have the fact that he doesn't have a solidified co-star this year. And they're just not as good as they've been historically, typically in the past, like that Philly team. I think the Knicks will breeze in the series and they'll win in 6, and they could win in 5, honestly. I think, but I'm a respect Embiid enough to give him 2 games. I think Embiid can take 2 games off of you just being himself if he has a good game or two, because there are games where he just draws so many fouls, and that's gonna be the big thing for Hartenstein. Just you can't jump, gotta stay on your feet. You can't fall for the old tricks. And I hope that in this playoff series, the refs swallow the whistle a little bit, and no Diddy, and they do a good job of making sure they're not just giving him any foul call he wants, because he's gonna try to draw a million fouls, especially since he's not in shape right now. Having been hurt for so long, he's not in shape, and that's nothing new for him. He's quite never usually in shape, but he's not in shape right now, and so I think that that's going to be a big thing, and he's going to try to draw fouls. So I just love the Knicks in this matchup, and I think they have. This is what I wanted for them. I think this is a better situation for them. They have a nice little path right now forming to go to hopefully the conference finals for their sake.
Hey, by the way, before you go, Miles, too, that game against the Heat, for every good foul that Joel Embiid actually drew, pump fake, you jumped, I lean into you. There was another foul, another 2 fouls where he's literally flopping. Bam even said it. Bam was like, MF, stop flopping.
Mhm.
So I just, to your point, I hope it doesn't turn into Embiid has a 20 free throw game and half of those are non-legit fouls.
Yeah,
I think we might get one game like that. Like if they're down like 2-0, or um where the refs want to keep it close and they don't want like a just easy series or something like that. But like I think this Knicks team, like with the way they've played to end the season and the chemistry that all these Villanova guys have, along with adding OG and all that stuff, I think I'm gonna have to go Knicks in 5, honestly, because one, I mean, none of them are talking. Like none of the Knicks players are talking trash. They're like, we got one. It's like that Kobe mentality where it's like we're not worried about the conference finals, the second round. We're worried about one game at a time, focused on the opponent in front of us. Like you got Paul Reed getting on a podcast and saying like this is the matchup we wanted. Well, I I can't wait. I can't wait till Saturday because I'm just like I know all of them heard that. I know Tibbs heard that. You just added more bulletin material for this team, which they didn't need. Like this is a team of guys who've been slept on their whole career. Like you look at Brunson, second round pick, Hart, 3 or 4 teams in his career already. Dante DiVincenzo, same thing. So it's like this is a team of underdogs, and I feel like they're making us the underdogs again, even though like we earned that second seed. So I'm gonna be tuned in on Saturday. This whole series, I can't wait. Um, that's the only thing is like wearing Joel Embiid out. Like I think he doesn't look that healthy. He's not 100%. I don't think he's ever going to be 100% in the playoffs this year at any point. So um, I feel like we're gonna have to attack him, like get him in pick and rolls, get him moving, get him like worn down a little bit, like bang. down low, like Hartenstein, Mitch, even put a Chew on there to get a couple like hard fouls on him to, set the tone of the series. But um, I just think this team is clicking on all cylinders. Like Tibbs has got a good game plan. Brunson, MVP level, OG. I mean, if he had enough games, he'd probably be on one of these defensive teams. But um, doesn't matter if we make it far in the playoffs. That's all I care about.
Hey, the other thing too, I know Grant Hill and Steve Kerr hoping that 76ers lose first round too, because they need him be healthy for USA. But we'll talk about that to end off the show because I know some people had mixed reviews on it. I agree with Kyrie on his take that I do miss the days of the tryouts. So we'll talk about it. Bucks Pacers. I have the Bucks 4-2. I think by the time Giannis comes back, he's going to dominate the series. And I think because the Indiana Pacers do not play D, Dame will get going. However long Giannis is out, Dame will get going. He'll get his rhythm going, his shot falling, which I think only helps them in the long run. More so that second round. Indiana's a nice story. Tyrese did your thing. Y'all in the playoffs. But since that in-season tournament, some injuries happened and whatnot. But that shot, which is what had him in that conversation at the beginning of the season of, oh, Tyrese Halliburton, first team, oh, MVP. That 3-point ain't been dropping. It has not been dropping. Over the last 20, 25 games, he's shooting around 34%, 33% from three. Yeah, if that happens in series, it might be in 5, low key.
I mean, when you put it like that, it changes the way I thought about it a bit. But I'm not gonna lie, I thought this series was probably gonna go 6 or 7 games. I just think that the Bucks struggles that we saw all year are real. I don't think they're gonna go away just because we're in the playoffs. I just don't see it. I think that you're going to see a team and the Pacers come in knowing that they've played that team rough, hard all year and given them a hard time beating them. Did they lose to the Bucks at all? I mean, they think I don't know if they swept the season series, but they certainly beaten them 2 or 3 times.
Bucks they won some games.
The Bucks won maybe 2 games. Okay,
But
so
the Pacers did beat them a couple times, and they
yeah,
beat them in that in-season tournament.
that's right. So really 3-2 series, right? I mean, you got and one of those times when they beat the Bucks, and I think the Bucks took it seriously. It was for something. It was a playoff like environment, and they beat you. So I just think if Tyrese isn't struggling with that jump shot the way he was late in the season, and he can pick it up, and he's finally over the injuries he's had, they can give him a real run for their money, man. The Pacers don't play a lick of defense, and I think that's a bit their biggest problem. Defensively, they're just not that great. But I do think they have a chance of making this series really an ugly one, and one where the Bucks have to scratch and claw to get their way out of it, especially with Giannis not being available. You know what I mean? So I just you can throw different bodies at Dame throughout the series, and we've seen Dame struggle in the playoffs because when you do that and you put tough physical defenders on him, so I think when you think about it that way, the Pacers have a chance. I'm gonna pick the Pacers in an upset. I'll pick the Pacers in an upset. I'll take Pacers winning the series in 7. And winning the series in 7. And then we see a complete spiral with Giannis, and we go from there with what he does. Because he gonna pack his bags, he's gonna put Giannis, he's gonna put Thanasis in the bag, and he's gonna want to get out of there.
I could see this being like Pacers in 5, but I'm gonna be respectful and say Pacers in 6, just because I believe like Dame can get you a couple games. But at the same time, like losing Giannis is a big loss for this team. Like I don't think they're as good of a team without him. Um, and I think if they go 1-1 in Milwaukee to start the series, that might be the only game they win. Going like I think they might lose both in Indiana, and then coming home if you kind of defeated down 3-1. So um, yeah, this is a big series for the Pacers to set the tone for I know they traded for Pascal and they'll probably re-sign him and all that, but like taking that step forward as a team to contend with in the Eastern Conference. But for the Bucks, this is like to lose in the first round 2 straight years. I mean, they're like they're copying Coach Cal's whole flow, just not winning in the first round. It's crazy. Um, but like I feel like Giannis, he might ask out after this. Sure, he re-upped his contract. He's got a nice little deal now, but um, he I don't think he's okay with this. Like, and then he's had like three head coaches in the span of a year and a half. Like, I'm sure he's like, this is not toxic, but this is an insane environment for me to try to win. If like winning is actually his goal, I mean, people say it, and I mean, he could be content with that one championship, but I think he's a competitor. So that's why Knicks, we're our eyes are on the prize with Philly, and then moving forward. But like we're watching that series to see, like, all right, off season's 5 months away. Stuff can move. Like Devin Booker could be on the move from Phoenix. Giannis could be on the move. So let's see what happens.
Does New York have a you know how they got Chinatown and they got Little Italy? Do they have a
No.
little Greece or something like that?
They can make one.
I was about to say they're gonna have to make one. They're gonna have to make one because he gonna probably want to get some Greek food to feel more at home. And the thing everybody talk about Bronny. Oh, where's Bronny gonna go? If Giannis leaves, y'all know it's a package deal. They talk about Bron and Bronny being package deal. Giannis and the Nassus is a package deal. And who better than the Knicks to do that? Y'all did the package deal with JR and his brother.
Hell
So
no. You know what? Never mind. I take it back. I don't want Giannis. That means we're bringing Thanasis back again. We're the team that drafted him in the first place and realized how bad he was. It's not worth. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Cavs Magic series. I got the Magic going 4-2.
Magic 4-2.
Magic 4-2.
I I agree. I think it's gonna be a 4-2 series from the Magic. I think the Magic are peaking at the right time. They finished the season strong. The Cavs did not finish the season strong. They've got the Donovan Mitchell contract extension talks hanging over their head. That's a lot of weight on that team's shoulders there as well. And I think the Cavs are a bit too 3-point reliant on top of it, and they're not tough in the interior. And also, I think the world's going to get an introduction to Jonathan Isaac, the defender, who's probably a top 2 to 3 defender in basketball, and people just don't talk about him. He has like 3 or 4 possessions a game that he blows up by himself, just with his reach and his athleticism. He blows up offensive possessions on his own. And they have that guy. They have Paolo. They got Franz. They got all these different. Jalen Suggs is a gritty defender. He's found his niche in the NBA, being a gritty defender, because he's not as good as we all previously thought, but he's found a way to kind of make a niche for himself. Give him credit. Give the coach credit for that. Mosley, too. And so I just think they're a really tough defensive team. They're going to make it tough on Mitchell. They're going to make it tough on Garland. And while you should win a series having Mitchell and Garland on your team, having that kind of star power at the guard position, they're just not going to win. I just don't think they're tough enough. I don't think they're going to rebound. I think the way the Knicks roughed them up last year, I think the Magic's are going to rough them up. And Paolo is really, really good offensively. He's going to be an all-star. He's going to be perennial all-star. He's going to be a superstar level player eventually. So I just think it's their time. And again, we're looking at another situation like the Bucks where Mitchell packs his bags and he's up out of there this summer because you can't keep that guy knowing you're going to lose him for nothing. You can't make that mistake twice, Dan Gilbert. Can't do that. And so I think they'll have to move him. But I like the Magic in this series for all the reasons I've stated. And I think Jonathan Isaac getting some attention for being a good basketball player is going to be nice for him as opposed to getting attention for being a jackass. Sorry.
Yeah, he
I feel
probably
like
is
he's always been a good player,
pound for
though.
pound, the best defender. Like if they had a all defensive team for bench players, he'd have to be on it. In the 17, 18 minutes that he be playing, he out there defensively.
He fly. And Miles, you're right, but I feel like I'm talking about for the fan who's a novice and doesn't watch like that. Because who's watching Orlando Magic? You just a casual fan of the NBA. You're not watching the Magic on a Tuesday night. You ain't doing that.
Unless
You
you got
know.
league pass.
Yeah. So ain't no novice that has league pass. This ain't the NFL. So
I have league pass.
Well, you're not a novice. That's what I'm saying. So we talking about the casual fan. So, um, you
What's your
know,
prediction, Miles?
that's why I look at it.
I'm going the same thing. I just think it's funny that the Cavs tanked to get this matchup, and the whole time Magic might be a better team than them. Like I feel like they peaked in that stretch where they went like 15-2 and
Yeah.
got up to the 2 seed, and all of a sudden Donovan Mitchell's dealing with injuries, getting uh PRP shots in his knee, and he's not coming into the playoffs fully, healthy. Like I don't know how healthy he is. And like I feel like Garland, he's battled injuries this year too. Mobley hasn't really taken that step.
No, I don't think they figured it out. A part of that win streak, Mobley and Garland wasn't there for 90% of the games.
Yeah. I think this team was a lot better when those two guys are not there. But I think after this year, that's the core. Like Donovan's not going to be here. You're gonna have to make do with what you get back in a Donovan Mitchell trade. Because if you lose in the first round, I mean, you might as well he might as well leave his letter of resignation in his locker that he's not coming back. Because like one, like Joakim Noah said all those years back, who cares about Cleveland? Like what's there to do in Cleveland? It's boring here. Like Donovan Mitchell wants to be somewhere like interesting. Like Brooklyn. Brooklyn's a good spot. Like it depends on what Sean Marks is thinking, like the process. I mean, don't rush it. Don't give up everything, but that's an option.
Hey,
But
they might
yeah,
not have to give up nothing. He might just walk free.
I
And
mean, I
Dan
would
Gilbert, if he's
definitely
smart,
give
it
up.
doesn't happen, but
What was I gonna say? I would definitely give up Cam Thomas for him. Like that's not even a debate. I would definitely give up Cam Thomas for Donovan Mitchell.
Ah, yeah, me too. I think if you bring in Donovan Mitchell, you're gonna have to come up off something. And Cam Thomas is the most logical trade return for the Nets if that's the way it's gonna go. And I will say this. I've heard way too much smoke about Donovan Mitchell to the Nets for me not to believe it at this point. It just seems like the Nets are like waiting for that shoe to drop, where like Donovan Mitchell asks for a trade, where they can go make that move and be aggressive and go get Donovan Mitchell in the building. So I just think it's coming, and it's a matter of when he makes that request. And I think that there's tampering there because they just seem like again like Brian Lewis from the Post, who's a really good reporter, just keeps writing about it. He just keeps writing about it. And Sean Marks had that meeting at the end of the year with the fan base, the season ticket holders, where he basically said, "We're going to strike when the opportunity is right to make it a star." And he mentioned nothing about a rebuild, nothing again. And so they must know, like they're like, "Hey, the city attracts stars," so they're pretty confident. And I think that's who they're going to go after pretty heavy. So yeah, I would give up Cam Thomas. I would, no problem with that.
Western Conference, OKC, and we believe it'll be the Kings, OKC Kings. I got OKC with a sweep.
Mm.
I
I
think it
mean,
was cute. I think it was cute. It was nice what they did. You beat Golden State.
Mhm.
That was nice, but y'all still don't have Malik Monk. Y'all still don't have Kevin Herter. And now you're talking about a real team. SGA, J Dub, the other Jalen Williams, Lou Dort.
Chet.
You got Chet. You got my man that like the younger girls. Giddy.
Age ain't nothing but a number, he said.
Age ain't nothing but Josh R. Kelly Giddy. Age ain't nothing but a number. Don't sue me. It's jokes. Don't sue me. Um, I think they sleep. I think they sleeping them. Okay, so they got too much. This is a perfect first round matchup for them. If it was a Pelicans team, if it was a Lakers team that ended up losing and got in at the AC, I would be nervous for them.
Mhm.
But these Kings, nah, I think they sweep them.
I think in five. I think they win in five. I can see them losing one of these first two games just because they've been off for a minute, and the Kings have had to play um, kind of playoff ball, and they're ready for it right now. I'm sure like all these teams that have already clinched their spots. They're practicing hard, like scrimmaging and whatnot, whatever. But I could see OKC losing either game one, game two, and then all of a sudden that's like, all right, let's wake up. Like we're the clear better team, and then they just roll from there.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for OKC to sweep anybody, in my opinion, because of Chet being so small. I just thin, and I think Sabonis is a guy who's really gonna be physical with you down there, right? I'm trying to find the right words, so I don't have to say no Diddy again. Be physical with you down there. So I just think the rebounding advantage might go the Kings' way a couple games. And OKC's young enough to give up easy looks defensively and maybe not be dialed in every possession and take some things for granted. So I just feel like when you take those things into account, I think that they're going to have a hard time sweeping anybody in in the postseason. And I think that this Kings team can give them a little run for their money and maybe take 2 games off them. I do think OKC's better though, so I think they'll win the series, but it could go six. It could go six.
Next series, Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers 4-3, baby.
Lakers in 7.
Lakers in 7, baby.
Lakers in 7. Yeah. I mean, if the Lakers are going to win the series, it's probably going to be in 7. I don't think they win in 6. Although I did hear that Nick Wright chose the Lakers in 6. On that narcotic, but it's possible. It's possible, but I'm going to take the Lakers cautiously. I know that Denver is the favorite, and that Tony and I could easily be wrong here, but I want to be wrong. God, do I want to be wrong? Um, I think the Lakers can win this series if they speed up the pace of play a little bit. Then the Nuggets don't get out and transition and run very much. They don't want to do that. With Jokic being the guy who controls the pace of the game for them, and he's not the most agile guy. So push the pace. D'Lo's got to come to play and play well. LeBron's got to have his best stuff and play great basketball, prime level basketball for about 3 games in that series. They need 3 games of prime LeBron, which, if he's rested and there's a couple of days off in between each game and there's 4 days off between, now and the game on Saturday, um, I think that he has a chance to be fresh and give him a good run here. So, and AD has to break even with Jokic in the matchup as well, right? So win the foul, win the free throw battle, get to the line more, foul them less, right? And you have a chance. And then also execute late game. Easier said than done. But I need them to please beat the Nuggets. My God. I mean, Malone be talking crazy. Malone be talking crazy.
Cash crazy, bruh.
Ooh,
And to your point, they need to be able to. This season, it's been close games. They don't execute on the
no.
level of the Nuggets in the fourth. But I think that won't be that much of a problem. It'll be 4-3, Lakers in 7, and we'll see the old days of the Lakers. Playoff time. It don't matter where we at. We could go into Denver. We going into your crib. We going into you and taking it. So I can see the Lakers winning in Denver. Miles is gonna go. I already know he's gonna say Denver in 5, but go ahead, Miles.
No, I'm actually gonna say if AD can make it through this series healthy, like he has to almost be the best player in the series, in my opinion. Because if you put it all on Bron to kind of carry the load for 7 games, which yeah, I think this does go 7. I don't think they're gonna win the series if you're expecting LeBron to be um, that guy for every single game.
Yeah, we're not getting 2018, bro.
No, no,
No,
no.
no. So that's I mean, even in the game we just saw in the playing, sure, it was a cool 29-9, and that was a down to the wire towards the end. But like to expect him to put up like 35, 12, 15, like we're not doing that. He might have 1 or 2 games like that, but like to expect that out of him, no. I need AD to, attack Joker. Like he's gotta like everything that he said in training camp that they were talking crazy and like me and Bron. Now here's your chance. It's almost like it was written. The golf gods. I'm playing too much golf. The NBA gods were basically saying, "Here's your chance to redeem yourself." And let's see. I mean, AD had a great year. Played 76 games, which is probably 75 more than I thought he'd play this year. But um, this is a great, great matchup. Probably the best one we're gonna see in the first round as far as like the narratives. Like Joker is probably the MVP. LeBron, can he still get it done at this age? I'm gonna just sit here and enjoy it. Hopefully, Bron gets it done, and then maybe he makes another run at this thing. This will be his greatest chip if he wins as the eighth seed.
Hmm. I would say, yeah. Him winning it, we can't get it. If LeBron wins this championship, I'll make it short. Don't gotta we at an hour. If LeBron wins this championship, I don't want to hear no Jordan stan ever talk to me again. Don't even look at me. Don't look at me. Don't breathe in my direction. Don't breathe the air I breathe. Don't. Don't even do it. LeBron is easily the GOAT, and he already is. But talk about a nail in the coffin, like a literal nail in the coffin. LeBron winning a championship under these circumstances. Come on now.
Minnesota Phoenix. I got the Suns 4-3.
Ooh.
I got Phoenix 4-3.
I got Phoenix in 7.
uh, I, I'm taking this. I'm taking the Timberwolves. I'll take them in 7. I'll put some respect on Kevin Durant. I think they can win in 6. I'll take them in 7 though. Miles, what do you think?
That's the thing. I just think Devin Booker is going to go nuclear.
Hey, notice how he's saying.
Anthony Edwards doesn't have a KD and a Bill next to him to get buckets.
You got Cat back.
You
got Big Pussycat back.
Miles, what's your pick, bro?
He's like, they got Kevin Durant, but we got Jaden McDaniels. So, I mean, I'm taking Timberwolves in 6. I think Anthony Edwards is probably going to be the best player in the series. I think he's going to lavish the opportunity to go at Devin Booker just to separate himself. Like there's guys in the league that like really cherish like competition, and I think he's one of those guys that like seeks it out. And like he said earlier, I'm going to be the best player in the league in 2 to 3 years. So, I mean, it starts here. I mean, let's see. I think he'll make second team All NBA probably this year, and I just don't believe in Durant. I'm sorry. Like I've seen too many times over the last few years where he's fallen flat. Um, Bradley Beal, to expect him to now all of a sudden wake up when the moment's the brightest, that's not his MO. So to put it all on Devin Booker, I'm not about to do that. Like KD is gonna have to be a 1B in this series for them to win. And I don't know. I feel like you kind of have his tendencies matched at this point in his career. Like he's not blowing by guys. Like he's real jump shot heavy. And if that jumper's not falling, which in the playoffs the last couple seasons it hasn't been falling as much. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure Jaden McDaniels is going to be on Kevin Durant. He's going to make it tough for him, and get physical. So, and we know he doesn't like to bang down low.
Clippers, Mavs. Throw this out there. Luka's 0-2 against the Clippers in the playoffs. But in 13 postseason games against the Clippers, this man averages 33.5 points, 9.5 assists, 8.8 rebounds, 3.5 threes per game, 49.4% from the field, and he's shooting 39% from the 3. This is the year that the Dallas Mavericks and Luka will beat the Clippers in the playoffs, and he's going to put up probably very similar numbers or more against this Clippers squad. Kawhi got the bum knee. Paul George in the playoffs, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Probably isn't going to show up at least 1 or 2 games in the series. You can count it and book it. Yeah, James Harden, at least one game of a single digit points. He might have 10 assists that game, but he's going to give you 8 points. That's going to mess up a game. I got the Mavs 4-2.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think the Mavs are going to win this series in 6 or 7 games. I do think they win. That's my prediction. I love the makeup of the team. I think one of the things people don't talk about with the Mavs is that they've been quietly one of the hottest teams in basketball to end the year. I think they were like 17-1 at one point. They had a 17-1 stretch where they, which is ridiculous. You hadn't lost a basketball game in a month. So Kyrie and Luka have figured it out playing together. I think they're playing off each other beautifully right now. I love the addition of Gafford as a lob threat, but also how hard he plays defensively on every possession. It's like he gives you the look that Tyson Chandler gave you all those years ago. You got Lively coming off the bench, who's easily a all rookie first team selection in my opinion. He's in the conversation for that. Too, I just love the makeup of the team. I like Derek Jones, the minutes he gives them off the bench too. I think they're more complete than they have been in years past. And I think that's the difference with that team. Josh Green is still a heck of a defender coming off the bench too and playing for them. They got defenders they can throw at guys now and guys who can make shots. And Dante Exum becoming a serviceable 3-point shooter out of nowhere has changed the entire look of that team, which is why they're very dangerous. This team is a dark horse contender to make it to the finals. That's what the Mavericks are. Which I don't want to say that about Kyrie Irving. Y'all know how I feel about Kyrie Irving, but at the same time, let's face it, he stepped into some luck. Maybe the sun god was praying, was smiling down at him after all or something. I don't know. He allowed whatever, but in all seriousness, he's doing she he no, he's playing great. He's playing at an all NBA level too, and he deserves a lot of credit for the way that he's acclimated himself to Dallas since getting there. So I think they have a chance to make it a finals run, and I think the Clippers are going to fall here against them.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd take a ring over Team USA any day. So that's one
That's what he
thing.
tells you. That's what he
That's
tells you.
what. Yeah, he also said the Earth is flat. So take it with a grain of salt. I think 4-2 Mavs. I don't believe that like Kawhi is going to be fully healthy at all during this series, and if he is playing, the matchups you attack are the ones where he's there. Like I think you get him in the pick and roll, Kyrie, Luca, and you try to wear him down because I mean he had a good season, and then towards the end he kind of wore down. Maybe you attribute that to this new 65 game rule and guys trying to play more games or what. But this is kind of his MO. He's, he breaks down later in the year. And then to rely on, a couple guys who have been unreliable in the playoffs, like Harden and Paul George, to get it done. I mean, Harden said he lives for these moments, but I mean, I don't believe him. I can't remember the last time he was actually having a good series in the playoffs. Maybe Houston, maybe that one series against Golden State, you know, 8 years ago. But Mavs, yeah, this is a really good team. I mean, 50 wins. Um, People kind of slept on that pairing of Luca and Kyrie. I mean, I think most of us did coming into the year, not thinking that this would be something like this. But to see them now, being appreciated, maybe even making a run at this. Like if they get past this matchup, I think they can meet OKC. I think that's one of those matchups where Luca can dominate that series. Same with Kyrie, and the inexperience of OKC might shine brightly in that series if they get to it.
Oh, it's going to shine for sure. That's going to be, you could have the memes prep. That's going Luca going to put Shea, Lou Dort, he going to put all of them over his lap and spank them. If that series, yeah, that's why I said it. I think the Mavs, they're a dark horse. I got them as my pick to make it to the finals and win it. Those are the playoff matchups right now. Of course, we're going to keep y'all updated. Game 1, game 2, whenever we record during that week, we're going to end off with 2 things, and that's the end of this show. It's a wrap. After that, over under Victor Wembanyama 2.5 rings.
I'm gonna say under.
Yeah, I'm. I'll take the under on it. I'll take the under on it. It's not easy to win 2 rings. I'll take the under.
Over under Luka Doncic 1.5 rings.
I'm gonna take the under on that too. I think he might get one. He might get one, but it's tough. Like the league is getting more um, parity in the league now, and I think there's going to be a lot of teams coming up where your window might be a couple years, and then all of a sudden you got to try to figure out how to reset. So I'm gonna say 1 year. This could be that year where they get that one if the ball bounces the right way for them. So
Two more names. Over under Jason Tatum 1.5 rings.
I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say he's never gonna
Yeah.
get one. No, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Under.
I'm gonna say one. He'll get one.
Over under Ant-Man 1.5 rings.
I'm gonna say over. Low key, I feel like in his prime, if they build around him the right way, he's gonna be one of those killers in the league that um, I'm not gonna say like Jordan, but that dominates in that same way where teams fear him and guys don't really want to match up with him. And he talks trash too, so that'll put fear in somebody's heart too.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over with Anthony Edwards too on that. I think that he has all the makings of a champion. I think he has what it takes. I think that team. It may not be in Minnesota, by the way, but he's going to get somebody over the hump one day. He just made up the right stuff. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, is not as of right now.
End it off the show. End it off the show with this. Kappa Facts. Caitlin Clark should have not received a sneaker deal before the likes of a Asia Wilson. Kappa Facts.
I feel like it could be both, honestly. Like it's facts because Asia should have been got one. She's the best player in the league. But then it's Cap because in this current day and age, like Caitlin's the face of women's basketball right now, and that's like to the fault of the WNBA and how they market their players and all that stuff. For a college kid coming in to already be bigger than your league, I mean, they have to capitalize on it. They have to monetize it. They have to try to ride this wave of Caitlin Clark into more sustainability, more marketability for the WNBA, maybe more eyes on them, and that'll help them in the long run. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. I, I don't think you give her that big of a bag if you don't see the writing on the wall that she's the one who's going to be able to lift this league into a new age.
She got to get the chosen one tatted on the top of her back.
No, I'm not going to say it.
It's Cap to me. Asia Wilson should not have gotten a shoe deal before she did. Not because she's not deserving of an actual shoe deal. Her play makes it that she's deserving of a shoe deal. Yes, she is. She's a great player. She's been the best player in WNBA for quite a while. It ain't about that. Ain't nobody buying Asia Wilson sneakers though. If you put them on a shelf, you know whose shoes you're gonna buy? You're gonna go buy Caitlin Clark shoes. That's just the reality of it. I'm sorry, you're gonna do that. And there's a lot of different angles you can take this conversation from. I've been watching the landscape of women's basketball more closely lately, and there's no denying that Caitlin Clark is the woman who's going to save that sport. She's going to save women's basketball. She just is. I mean, she's made for this. The way she handles herself on the podium, all that stuff. I have nothing but nice things to say about her, and she's a great player. And I think that there's something to be said about a perimeter player who can shoot the ball from 30, 40 feet the way she does. We've seen this movie before with Steph Curry. People gravitate towards it. And so it's easy to sell that player in the modern day of basketball the way she plays, right? She's fun to watch. She's got and it's not even like she's like super shifty or nothing like that either, but she's got enough in the bag of tricks with that deep shooting that makes her special. I do think she'll struggle in year one in the WNBA. I do think they're going to rough her up a little bit. I do think that she has a target on her back. I think that there are WNBA players who are not happy about the fact that we're coordinating her as a society as the next as the Jordan, the LeBron of the league before she gets there. There are plenty of girls who don't like that. Only one WNBA player ever has ever come in and dominated off the rip year one. Candace Parker. That's from what I understand. She was her Hermithy, if you will.
Candace Parker,
That was
Lisa
her.
Leslie.
Lisa Leslie as well, right? So she will struggle. She's gonna run into her fair share of obstacles as a rookie, and that's normal. That's fine. But in terms of the eyeballs and the attraction that she's gonna bring to the league, there's a reason why Nike paid her $20 million off the rip. There's a reason why they outbid Steph Curry and Under Armour for her services because they're gonna sell a lot of shoes behind her name, right? Because it's the perfect storm. It's the social media era, growing up in that era, coming up playing at Iowa, where she was the hometown hero, and the whole community came because there ain't nothing better to do in Iowa besides watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. So they all came out and watched her play. And then, the fact that, again, like I think Angel Reese and LSU have a lot to do with this too. It was the perfect powder keg where she had a real rival established in college basketball, and she got to go up against and beat and slay that dragon after losing to them. It's the perfect story. And she's white. It helps. She's white. Let's just be honest. Her being white helps. It being white is never a bad thing in these scenarios, with the way this country works. So I get it from that aspect of it. And I think where my question comes up, and I don't want to pose a question to you, but this is just where my mind's been going. Sabrina Ionescu got a signature shoe, right? She got a signature shoe before Asia Wilson, right? And because Asia Wilson doesn't have one. So why are they marketing these white players better than they are their black players? That's the thing I don't understand. I don't understand that. Now, I know how the country works. I'm not an idiot. It's because they're white. It helps. But she's not a better player than Asia Wilson is. Why is she more popular with the American viewer than Asia Wilson is? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that thing doesn't make any sense. I understand Caitlin Clark. It's a one-off situation. She just happens to be white, but she's nice. So it's different. And Sabrina Ionescu is a really good player. But she ain't on the Asia Wilson tier. At least Caitlin Clark, we know she's gonna be in that conversation soon. Hopefully, for her sake.
For her sake.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's a win for the WNBA across the board. I do believe that Asia Wilson should have a signature shoe, and Nike dropped the ball and should have been got her signature shoe, so this wouldn't be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to the Caitlin Clark shoe because Nike they got the Victor Wembanyama logo right, so I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with Caitlin Clark. The commercials that they had, just already ready once she won, they gonna do this right.
The rollout's gonna be amazing. The
It's
rollout's gonna
going
be
to be
amazing.
absolutely beautiful. What are you about to say?
I don't. There's something to this to me about them. The way they roll out the red carpet for their white players versus the black players, and there's a lot of things I think about that I'm not gonna say on the podcast as to why this might be the case, right? Like why? Because image is everything, and I understand that, and so it's important when you're rolling out a brand. But Asia Wilson would be a great representative for Nike. So I know her popularity isn't there in the way that it was for Ionescu, because Ionescu's allegiance with Kobe makes her more popular. I think that helped. I do think that helped. But it's just interesting to me, man. It just
Oh
is.
no, we could definitely dive into it deeper. Don't have to be next week. It could be something we table to have a conversation with of why that happens. WNBA season, what, a month or two out, so we could dive into that maybe when the season starts.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll be talking NBA this year. Holy shit. I wasn't even watching it last year, bro. I'm gonna watch it this year though. No, I'm gonna watch it.
hey, that's perfect. We love it. Real quick, rapid fire. Y'all thoughts on the Team USA situation and Kyrie mentioning, that there should be tryouts. He misses those days.
I mean, they had to get it. They had to get it right after the embarrassment of the FIBA last year of them getting. Did they even get bronze? No, they lost the bronze
They
medal
didn't get
game. So
anything. They
they
got
didn't get anything.
an iHeart Music Award.
So yeah, I don't think they were going to leave it to chance and for guys to try to go hard. Like you guys couldn't get it done. The Jaron Jacksons and the Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, Halliburton made the team, whatever. The Mikal Bridges and all that. So I'm
Mikal.
Mikal. Yeah, he's not even Mikal anymore. The way he played this year, I'm calling him Mikal until he fixes it. That's why they brought Bron, Steph, all the Avengers. They brought them all back. It's like Thanos when he snapped his finger. They came back through the portal and said, "We got to save Team USA for the betterment of this country." I guess
Yeah, you're
so.
funny, bro.
Um, yeah, I'm not that mad about them not having a tryout. It like the Olympics are in 100 days. Playoffs start now until June. Like there's no time for all that. So I get what Kyrie's saying. He misses those days when you actually tried out and you could actually show what you got. But um, I also think you burned that bridge a little bit one with all your antics and all the stuff that he's done over the last few years. Where maybe they don't want like it's cool to see him change things in the narrative now. But like I think the way things looked even last year with Brooklyn and everything that happened over there with the league and the vaccinations and all that. I don't think they want to deal with it.
I do think that has something to do with it, man. When you apply for a job, people ain't gonna like this analogy because y'all are annoying when it comes to Kyrie. Y'all are so annoying. But when you apply for a job, when they run a background check on you, the stuff you say can bite you in the ass. I'm gonna say it just can. And so when you post an anti-Semitic film and you say the Earth is flat and you do all this stuff, man, you rub people the wrong way in different quarters. Different parts of the league, you rub people the wrong way, especially the right people. Rubbing right people the wrong way, no Diddy, will put you in a bad position. And I think that right now he's kind of suffering from that a little bit. He's certainly, from a skill perspective, he's the most skilled player in the world. He should be on Team USA. I think there's a case for that. There's also the other side of it where it's like when you're building a team, you want Drew Holiday there because he's going to defend at a high level, and you don't have a lot of elite defenders on that roster right now. I mean, your two best players, you could argue, are the oldest players in the league, and Steph Curry and LeBron, right? I mean, that's where we're at with Team USA right now. So I just think it's important that we look at it from the entirety of the entirety of it, right? You're building a team. You're building a team, and so I just think that that's part of the reason why he's not on USA now. But um, yeah, you could argue him over Steph, for sure. And I think that there's a real case to be made that Kyrie could jump in and over in his spot. But again, who does Steph get mad? Nobody. Who is Kyrie pissed off? Damn near everybody. So I think it just affects the situation. But if it's a meritocracy and it's about basketball skill, he should be there. I'm gonna give him that. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Steph is a better pick on this regard. He's going to be well rested. No playoffs for him. He won't have any nicks. He won't have any aches. He will be well rested. And he might be a little bit restless because he got another child on the way, but he will be ready for the Olympics, and he'll probably shoot the lights out, and he'll give all Golden State Warriors fans hopes like, oh my gosh, Steph still has it. He's going to lead us to the promised land next year. I don't know about that. He's in his Moses stage right now. I need to find a Joshua to help lead y'all to the promised land because he's not going to do it. But if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.